All right. It's old King Shit here. It's not King Shit Sunday Blues. This week we're doing something just a little different. Every once in a while we do. This week I had a couple of great opportunities to find some 8-track hi-fi, a player, and a whole boatload, whatever you want to say, a ton of 8-tracks for amazingly good price. And so today's going to start the adventure. If everything goes right, I'll be going, take about a 45-minute drive and picking up a player and about 38 tracks, all good titles like Hendrix, Zeppelin, yes, a lot of good titles. And then hopefully, I can't say if the player works or not yet, but it's I think it's the name of it is a claim or something, but it's a TRS, so it's a realistic made, or made in the same factory at the time of the realistic ones that look. And I've seen some Panasonic ones that are almost identical to it too. After I took a look at this one, don't know if I'm going to be able to get it up and running, but at the very least, there's 31 or 32 tapes, almost all good titles, and a really nice in great condition case with them. So hopefully that's going to work out nice. And then I'm trading a piece of musical gear for four big boxes, tote-sized boxes of 8 tracks. On the top, I saw a couple of Who titles and an Elvis title, so I got some high hopes there could be some winners in there. The person who's trading with me does say they picked through what they wanted, so we'll see. He said there were doubles, so there's still a lot of titles that were still good ones that he just didn't need. So we'll see. I got high hopes. Who knows? For the little bit I'm spending on these and the little bit of driving I'm doing, this could well be. This could make my collection. I'm already pretty happy with how it's gone since I started. So I'm just going to do a few little clips, sew them all together, and this is going to be this week's Sunday Blues, my 8-track hi-fi safari adventure. And we'll be updating as we go. Wish me luck. Thanks. All right, King Shit back again. This is the King Shit weekend 8-track. Well, it's a whole week really. 8-track haul, 8-track hi-fi splurge week. So far this week, I made a trip out about 45 minutes on a good day. That ended up being with traffic a long ride in both directions, but for a measly $30, I picked up this old TRS 880 model, Allied branded, but TR 880 usually indicates to me the TR would be T&D Realistic Radio Shack. I could be wrong. I've also seen a Panasonic that looked kind of similar to it. This is a pretty nice player recorder from the 70s, and it was semi-functioning. I was hoping the seller had no idea of the condition. It was gross. I cleaned it up a whole lot. I will say that I think it's a veneer case, but it's in great shape. Um, it played in good time. The belts are probably all right. It's initially would change tracks using the program button, but it after a while it seemed to just jam up on track one and not let you do that. Maybe if you unplugged it and put another tape in that was set for a different track, who knows? But it also had a non-stop hum in the right channel, as I remember. So it'd be a great fixer-upper. I may offer it out there for to be repaired, or it may end up being a donation. It won't be a keeper, unfortunately. But here's where everything comes together. Pretty nice case after a cleanup. It was pretty gross when I first got it. It's not perfect, but for something that's between 40 and 50 years old, it's a darn nice 8-track case. And I am so stoked on the contents. Hendrix, Dylan, yes, BOC, Outlaws, Tull, Zeppelin, titles I didn't have, Pink Floyd, a couple titles I didn't have, ELP, Alice Cooper, Neil Young, Best of the Doors, a really, really good compilation. There was a couple of tracks I'd never heard before, believe it or not, and I'm a big fan. The Bob Seger double live, the live Bullet. I also had the one that was recorded later at the Boston Garden. That was a double play too. So I got a lot of live Bob Seger. A couple of early Styx records, Pieces of Eight and Cornerstone. And if you're a Kenny Rogers guy, that's a must-have. I would say is the Gambler. I'm not sure that'll stay in my collection. It might. Ted Weekend Warriors. I didn't have that. I do have a lot of Ted. Not one of Ted's finest moments. Back when he actually was still having some fine moments. Yeah, that's one I'll give a listen to and maybe offer for a trade or something. But we'll see. And so when you figure, I would say on average, decent quality 8 tracks can range from $4 or $5 up to about $20 or more a piece. And there's 32 in here. And the first couple I played well and sounded great. So worth the ride, and a lot of hours left on these to be enjoyed. A few of them will need foam. The first 3 I picked out didn't need foam or anything. They played right through, changed on the splices at the track change, no problem. Very, very happy. Now today, according to my tracking, I'm going to be receiving an Olympic brand 8-track player to test out and see if that one's going to be a keeper. I have high hopes on that one. I believe the seller said it had been tested. And then, if all goes right, tomorrow I'm going to trade one of my guitars for 4 boxes, like tote-sized boxes of 8 tracks. So, wow, this is going to be crazy. Let's see how it goes. So far, so great. Okay, back here in the castle, king shit. Again, sorry if I'm disappointing anybody without a new song this week, but this week was a busy week, and I decided I had a couple opportunities to get some things handled, and they're music related, 8-track stuff. That is what the focus is, and I also my guitar amp, after several months, finally was ready to come out of the shop, so I got a chance to get that picked up and run it through its paces, and very happy about that too. And PV Valve King VK112 for the guitar players out there. Amazing bargain. You may have to put it in the shop to get it right, but then you're going to have a beast. Better than a Fender, better than a Boogie, better than a lot of other amps out there. It's don't sleep on those. They're about 10, 12 years old roughly now, and it can be found for good prices, even if you got to put a little money into them, fixing them up like I did. So back to the 8 tracks. Yes, good score this week. A couple come in. I was hoping for a really big 4 big totes worth coming in. It's still going to happen, but couldn't make it happen yesterday. Had too much going on, and so here we are, Sunday morning, and I got a bunch of 8 tracks, of some of which I've had a chance to refurbish with some new pressure foam, and none of them needed new splice tapes so far. The foil splice tapes that make the tracks switch in the machine. I've upgraded my abilities to fixing that as well. I don't love doing that because very often that means you're going to have to crack open the case and reseal it. And at that point, you're really you're risking whether it's going to be in the trash or whether it's still going to be fixable. And I love my 8 tracks. They're still just 8 tracks. They're 40, 50-year-old pieces of plastic and tape. And if they can't be pretty easily fixed, then you move on. That's my thoughts. That's why I won't overpay for them. I don't mind getting them in lots, but lately it's been like this set of tapes right here I'm going to talk about for a second. On Facebook Marketplace, there's been a lot of people who offer either entire lots, or they'll put a listing of maybe 20 or 30 titles they have for sale, and you can pick 1, 3, 5, depending on which ones you want or need in your collection. And maybe depending on whether they've been tested and whether they are very desirable titles or not. This particular person I dealt with was fantastic. Every title $5, no matter what. And if you buy 6 or more, free shipping. So I got 6 really good title 8 tracks for $30 right to my house. That's pretty damn good. These went for $5 or $6 brand new in the mid to late 70s when most of these were on sale. So if that's not a bargain, I don't know what is. You can still find vinyl for good prices, but I'm sorry, a good 8-track that plays correctly, it doesn't have surface noise, pop, crackle, and hiss. Yeah, they may have to change between tracks, some fade in, fade out, and yeah, it does ruin some albums that you just don't want to listen to them that way. Not as much as you think, in my opinion. Everyone's different. And again, I've said this on my previous video. It's quarter-inch reel-to-reel tape in a little thing, and a little cassette case, basically. It can be at least audiophile quality. Not everyone's going to agree with me, but you get a good player through a good stereo system. Love me some 8-tracks. Let me talk about what I got from the person from Facebook Marketplace, first of all. I'm put on the goggles so I get this right. I'll keep it brief. Yeah, right. Okay, I got Frampton Comes Alive. I remember the summer this came out. Slow Dancing with Girls when I was about 13 years old or whatever. Unbelievable memories with this one. Fantastic. I saw him in concert a couple years ago with Steve Miller. Still got it. Tremendous. Sly and the Family Stone's greatest hits. Look at the quality of these two. Look at the condition these guys are in for the age. It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And now those two haven't been played yet. They got to be refoamed. I have high expectations they're going to play. Aerosmith, Get Your Wings. Now, the interesting part on this one, again, fantastic quality on this one, on at least the cosmetics, is that I got one of these in this other bin back here, and all of them had been beauties, all playing great, all looking great, but the Aerosmith Get Your Wings that was in this one, it didn't make it through the first try. I cracked the case open. It was not going to be fixable. So I have high hopes on this one. I think this one needs foam, but based on the looks of this, I'm still all set on the Aerosmith. One of their best, maybe their best record. I love Aerosmith. Saw them a bunch of times. ELO. This one, I think, still had factory foam in good shape. Played perfect. Sounded amazing. Probably ELO's best studio record. The greatest hits maybe is a better overall one tape if you're going to have ELO, but boy, this one sounds great after all these years. Well produced. Fantastic. And this one was kind of an add-on. I had only picked 5 from this guy, and he said, if you get 6, it's free shipping. I said, all right, do you still have that David Bowie David Live? 1974 Diamond Dogs tour? He did. This one has the pressure clips on the inside and still has felt on the foams that were in good shape. Played great. First time through. Fantastic. I used to have this on cassette in high school. I taped it off the radio when they used to play whole albums on Friday and Saturday nights on the radio for you to tape. Remember those days? Some of us do. Yes songs. Now, this is another interesting one. As I pointed out, on the Aerosmith, on the other one, this Yes Songs one, it arrived, no tape. It's all eaten on the inside. Maybe repairable. Usually that means it broke on the splice where the foil is that changes the tracks. If that's the case, this probably could be easily opened and fixed. But I knew that I was getting 2 Yes Songs, the whole Yes Songs one in this, if they played. Guess what? I refoamed them. They both played perfectly. That's a 3-album set on 2. Now this whole case, including the player that didn't work out playing, but is a nice piece anyway. Might be worth restoring. We'll see. This case alone is probably worth 20. Each of these tapes, they got to be worth between 5 and 10 each to most people who are 8-track people. To the average person, they're giveaways. But that's amazing. Everyone knows now that vinyl has some value, and everyone thinks they're getting big money on them. And I don't want any. I'll take your 8-tracks if you're dumping them. Get in touch with Old King Shit. Having a great time with them. All right, so the ones from this one so far, refoamed Jimi Hendrix smash hits. My Jimi Hendrix 8-track collection is starting to really pop now, man. This one, after just a simple refoam, played all the way through perfectly. Just fantastic, fantastic. Great wide stereo. I'm going to run down a few I haven't checked yet. Bad Company's first record. The Tubes, The name of the Tubes record is called the. I think it's just the Tubes. It looks like there's a name now. Now up here in the corner it says, I guess. It doesn't appear to say that anywhere that's legible or readable. Oh yeah, now down there. And it doesn't have any of their big hits on it. Haven't listened to it yet. Probably gonna need a refoam. That's probably that one and the Kenny Rogers, The Gambler. Not in great shape. But it is, if you're a Kenny Rogers person, a desirable tape. Somebody out there might want it. Might be a trade or a sale sometime down the road. Who knows? And one of Ted Nugent's low points, Weekend Warriors. Man, I'm a Ted guy. Not because he's a right wing Nazi asshole. I mean, he was a rockin' great guitar player. He was a funny, sexy clown type dude back in the day, and then he just completely lost it. Sorry, Ted. You suck now, but boy, you could play your ass off back in the day. Probably still can, but I don't care. Let's move along. Styx, Cornerstone, and Pieces of Eight. They both look like they're going to play. Not a big Styx guy, but if you're going to have Styx, those are the ones to have. All right, let's move on. Now, Pink Floyd Animals. For those who don't know, the 8-track is very desirable as a Pink Floyd fan to own because the song Pigs on the Wing that begins and ends the album, the acoustic song, they sold them together for the 8-track and added a guitar solo that's not on the record, the CD, or any other version than the 8-track. Pigs on the Wing begins it. It doesn't end it. Sheep ends it. And by setting it up this way too, they were able to keep all the tracks from having to flow over. None of them go into it. So that is pretty sweet. Good job, Pink Floyd, on that one. Now, on the next two, Wish You Were Here and Dark Side of the Moon, they did have to do some fade and fade outs. But the nice part about Wish You Were Here, if you're a fan of it and you know it well, Shine On You Crazy Diamonds parts 1 through 9, I guess it is, they're already kind of broken up as they go. Not with fade in, fade outs, but so it was pretty easy for them to separate the parts and not break it up too bad. This was still a really nice listening experience. It wasn't like, boy, they really had to. Some albums just they don't hold up when they have to click through tracks, fade in, fade out. This was pretty damn good. Dark Side of the Moon, not so much. It's a real tough one for them to handle. I already had a copy of this. I got another new one. Look how fresh this one looks. This one looks pretty damn nice. So this may be, once it's refoamed and played, that might be the keeper, and the other might be the double. All right, another one, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Brain Salad Surgery. In my opinion, their best record. And after a refoam, played unbelievable. It was like listening to that with just a little buzz on was almost like a psychedelic experience with just a little herb. I'm telling you, it was like out of body kind of. Close your eyes and ooh, that wide stereo just freaks you out. Tremendous. Then we got Alice Cooper's From the Inside. I'm an Alice Cooper guy. I've seen him in concert. Don't really know this one that well. Doesn't have a lot of the big hits on it. We'll be playing that one later. Then a couple of Neil Young's Live Rush, which I already had, but again, super clean, looking beautiful. Sure, it's a player. We'll see. And the album they were touring on when they recorded that, Rust Never Sleeps. And that's a great one. I had it on vinyl for years, and I haven't had it in any other format since. Really, really happy to have that one. Also got a couple of more in here. We got Best of the Doors. This was the first one I pulled out to try because I have a lot of Doors stuff. And check out the cover. If you go back to the vinyl days, you might remember this was the one you probably had, Best of the Doors, prior to like the CD era. Then they put out a double CD and another single CD that weren't this, and weren't this song titles. This one had things like Who Do You Love, the Bo Diddley song of them doing it, I think, live on here. Fantastic. This was almost worth the whole thing to me just for this. I'd never heard that, and it was great. Then it plays perfect right out the box. Didn't need foam, had original 45-year-old pressure foam and played perfect. God bless 8-tracks. Then a couple of Bob Segers, a little rough shape, but not too bad. Night Moves, that and probably his best. That or Stranger in Town. Those are both great albums. He kind of went down after that. His better of his live albums, I would say, the Live Bullet. I also on 8-track got in a lot. The one they did at the Boston Garden a few years after this one, that was just okay. This is probably the one to have if you're gonna have one Bob Seger live 8-track. And that's the basic haul right now. And again, I may have by the end of this coming week, maybe a few hundred 8-tracks. There's probably going to be some Helen Reddy's and some, Perry Comos and whatnot in there. But on the top of the picture I saw, if I do get these, there was some Who and some Elvis, definitely some potential in there. And next week we'll be back with regular rock and blues and tunes. And I want to appreciate all the people who've been checking in. Oh, Spoony, love your stuff, bro. Thanks for checking in so much. Really appreciate the views. And I'm going to take into consideration what you said about changing up the view to give a little bit more view of me. It's not easy because I'm in a very limited space where I film, but we'll see. I may give it a shot. And shout out to everybody who checks out all my stuff, whether you're here for the hi-fi stuff, here for the Sunday blues musics, or even the old occasional Hot Wheels races and skateboard stuff. And and later today, my boy Joe, Big Joe, who plays with me on occasion and works on my guitars and is just one of my best friends in the whole wide world. He's more family than friend, and he knows that. He's playing today. He hasn't played with Down Cellar, one of his the last band he played with regular before he kind of bowed out of the scene. And he's been feeling good. They needed a fill-in for today. It's a bike rally in Salem, New Hampshire. I'm going to hopefully film the whole thing and post that too. So there'll be that. And then by next week, another tune here, I'm sure, and maybe some more 8-tracks further down the line. But thanks for checking in. This is Merry Old King shit, over and out.